Hey y'all, welcome to Adventures with Aggie, brought to you by the Ryan Martin Foundation. Today we have the last episode of our series featuring Alabama Adapted Athletics with Avery Downing, a wheelchair tennis player. She works with Shelby Barron, who was our episode on Monday, so go tune into Shelby's episode if you haven't already. But please welcome Avery. Well, Avery, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks so much for coming on. I'm excited to learn more about you, your story, and Alabama that's home. So I'm super excited to do this series with Alabama Adapted. But first, could you just kind of start with giving us some background into who you are and what you do?
Yes, so my name is Avery Downing. Originally, I'm from Memphis, Tennessee, but I moved to Alabama for school about almost 5 years ago now. I came to the university because I wanted to be able to try wheelchair sports. I hadn't played any before I came to school. And I ended up being able to play both wheelchair basketball and wheelchair tennis. And currently, I just play wheelchair tennis for the university.
That's awesome. I've also spent lots of time in Memphis. My aunt and uncle used to live there. So
Right.
huge fan. I love, what is it called? Rendezvous Bar?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Awesome. I'll have to go back sometime soon. But cool. Okay, I want to backtrack a little bit. How did you first discover adaptive sport, and when did you know that you wanted to participate?
So let's see. I was injured when I was about 13 years old, and I knew that I knew that like they existed. Like I knew that there were different like Paralympic sports and stuff. That was probably the extent of my knowledge of it, of just like whatever I saw, like from the Paralympics and things like that. And I knew that there was wheelchair basketball. I knew that there was wheelchair basketball at Alabama too, whenever I was in high school and I started looking at colleges. Um, and yeah, but I mean, as far as there isn't very much like adaptive sports in Memphis. They have one like adult wheelchair basketball team, but it's pretty small. And so I really didn't have much knowledge about it, just because there's not that much in Memphis. And I just started doing my research whenever I was looking for where I was going to go away for school. So that's what led me to Alabama.
Awesome. How's it been? I'm a huge fan of Alabama, but how have
Good.
you enjoyed it?
No, it's been great. We have, I mean, I think we have, the best adapted athletics program, collegiate adapted athletics program there is. We have really great and amazing facilities, and just all around a really great program with lots of resources for the student athletes.
Absolutely. I want to come visit someday. I'm not sure when I'll be able to make it down there, but I really want to come see the facility. I know this is like bad enemy, but I did tour Auburn's facility and I had a good time, even though I'm an Alabama fan, but I do want to come down and see you guys sometime. I think that would be so much fun,
Yeah.
but one day I'll let you know. Awesome. So you've already kind of spoken about the Alabama program, but what makes this program stand out compared to other adaptive athletics programs? Maybe you could take it from like a lens of when you were deciding where to go or something like that. But yeah, what makes this program unique?
Um, I think that I guess I'll say two different things I think that set the program apart. And I think the first thing is the amount of support that we have from the university. I've met the president of the university multiple times. He, personally supports what we do as a program, and that makes all the difference. And there are other people, other big donors and things like that have just made things happen. And that's why we have all the resources that we have and the facilities and everything that nobody else has. And we couldn't do that without the support from the actual like university structure and the people higher up in the university. And then along with that, I would also say that, I mean, the people that made that happen, like, Brent Harden and Margaret Strand, like the ones that started the program, they are what made it possible. They're the ones that made that connection happen and, convinced people to care about our, our program and the athletes and everything. And so they're the ones that set it up, and they're the ones that filled it with other coaches and staff members that care about what we do. So it's also the people that work in the department that make it what it is.
For sure. I can tell from the outside how invested everyone is in this program, which is maybe why it is so successful as it is and how beautiful your facilities and things are as well. I think it's very, very obvious that people at all levels of the university really care and are passionate about it, which is so cool. And like I said, I can't wait to come visit you guys. I want to come to a game too. That would be so fun, but one day soon. I want to ask you about your sports. So I know you play tennis, basketball, right now tennis. So can you just kind of talk about the differences in the two and the experience that you've had?
Yeah, so I came as a freshman and I started playing both wheelchair basketball and wheelchair tennis. And it was a lot playing both sports at the same time, while also being a full-time student. I had really good experiences on both of the teams. And I learned a ton because I didn't really have prior experience. So like just simply as an athlete, I was able to grow a lot in a really short period of time. Um, yeah, I played wheelchair basketball for 2 years, and then I played both sports for 2 years, and then after my sophomore year, I just decided that, I love both of the sports, but I was at the point where I wanted to really focus on and pursue wheelchair tennis, because of, my love for it and everything. So I made the switch then, and yeah, and now I've been on the wheelchair tennis team since then, and had more good experiences.
I think wheelchair tennis is awesome. I had the privilege of interviewing Lucy Schuker
Yeah.
I was going to say a few weeks ago, but I guess it was really a few months ago. That was much longer ago than I thought it was. But since speaking with her, like, it's just, it's fascinating. I love watching it. I think it's so cool. But I want to talk about your success on these two teams. I know you've had some championships and everything. Could you just kind of walk us through maybe some highlights of being with the team?
Yeah. So overall, my sophomore year was a really cool year because I was on both teams, and both the wheelchair tennis and the women's wheelchair basketball team won the national championship that year, but so did the men's wheelchair basketball team. So that was the only year in program history that all three sports had won the national championship in the same year. And for basketball, the men's team and the women's team were there at the same tournament, so we got to witness it happen, kind of like making history. And then tennis just kind of like sealed the deal. So that was a really cool year. Was very memorable.
For sure. For sure. I couldn't imagine being a student athlete. I like to say I'm an athlete, but I'm definitely not an athlete. How do you balance that with school? And at one point you were doing two sports and doing, I'm assuming, classes and homework and tests and midterms and everything on top of it. How do you kind of keep that balance, or how did you?
Well, it definitely was more manageable once I stuck to one sport, for sure. But whenever I first started, I took the minimum amount of classes that you have to take because I just could not do, more than that. And I did take some classes over the summer, like to keep up with everything. And some of our athletes do that too, just kind of like to catch up or to get ahead so that you're not like so rushed during the semester. But it's just the same thing that like most people say, like it's just time management and getting your stuff done whenever you have the time to do it. And it's a lot of the hardest times are probably when we're traveling and you're trying to do homework in the van, on the way to a tournament, or like late nights during the tournament. But we make it work and we all try to support each other.
That's great. Yeah, I guess you're not alone, right? Team is all all doing it together, trying to get everything done and graduate at the end of the day, right? Awesome. Cool. Let's talk about training. We kind of talked about traveling, tournaments, championships and stuff, but let's talk about the fun part, practice and everything. Could you just kind of give us a rundown of maybe a typical day where you have practice and class, just for somebody who maybe is considering going to Alabama for adapted athletics, and kind of what your day looks like?
Yeah, so a full day, the schedule changes, semester by semester, and it depends on what your classes are and everything. But a full day, or like your standard day, I guess we would normally do a workout in the morning, and our workouts are 1 hour long. So we get up and go to the Strand Harden Arena, which is where our workout facilities are. we have a great strength and conditioning coach, and we do that for an hour, get a good workout in, and then we'll leave and go to class if you have class, or go home and get some breakfast, or do homework or something. Since I'm in graduate school, I don't have too much, like I'm not taking a ton of classes, but so I have a lot of like work outside of class. So usually I'll go home and just like get to work on an essay or something like that, and then come back to the facility for a 2-hour practice with the whole team, where we get on court and do our drilling or chair skills or whatever we're working on that day.
Got it. Congrats on graduating. How has the transition been from undergrad to grad?
The transition was weird. It's funny that you ask that, because I did obviously, okay, so like my junior year was whenever COVID like started, and I had applied to an accelerated master's program, which we have a few of those at Alabama, and I was studying in undergrad. I studied English and Spanish, and my graduate program is English literature. So my junior year, I didn't graduate. It's just it's kind of confusing, but it's like a blended program. So basically my senior year, I started my graduate classes. So I was taking half graduate classes and half undergraduate classes for my senior year. And then I did graduate from undergrad after that. And now I'm in my 5th year, which is the 2nd year of my master's program. So I did graduate, but like I don't feel like I have much like closure, and like I just like went right into the other degree. So I'll feel probably better. I know that I'm gonna feel so much better and so much like more relieved once I just finish. Like I'm just trying to get through this year. So yeah.
That's awesome. I feel the weird transition, because I was also, I guess for the same year, I was also a junior when the pandemic hit, and then did my senior year online, and then I switched schools. So I like moved uptown and whatever else in New York. But yeah, it's a weird time. It's a weird transition period.
Yeah.
Yeah. But okay, cool. We had somebody submit a question. They want to know what you're up to outside of adapted athletics, outside of Alabama. What do you fill your free time with?
I have my cats, obviously.
Yes.
I like to, I like to just do like your normal stuff. Like I like traveling, which that a lot of that is included with tennis too, traveling to tournaments and stuff. And I like to do my hobbies are like I like arts and crafts and like baking and stuff like that, your regular stuff. And then I just got engaged a couple months ago, or like a month or so ago, so I'm doing wedding planning a lot in my free time.
Oh my gosh, congrats. That's so exciting. I love that. Wow, that's busy, more busy, right? Grad school, wedding planning, all kinds of fun stuff. Wow, that's awesome. Cool. Okay, great. I love that question because it's more than the sport. But cool. Okay, 2 more questions for you. First one, these 2 questions, I guess I ask all the guests that come on. And the first one is kind of, who would you, I guess, like to give a shout out to is really the question, but who are maybe a person or a few people that helped get you to where you are in your sporting journey? You can take this as the mentorship question as well.
Okay. Wow. I'll have to think. Well, I feel like this is the classic answer, but like my parents were very excited whenever I started sports, because it was all very new to me whenever I came to Alabama. And they've supported me really well, and been very encouraging. So, I think that helps. I don't know. They've given me a good support system. Just, and my dad lives closer, so he's been able to come to a lot of the games and stuff. And my mom and my stepdad will come to my matches whenever they're closer, my tennis matches whenever they're closer to where they are. And so, yeah, it's always good to have people actually physically there watching. But I know that they've been supporting me, even from afar the whole way there. So, yeah.
For sure. No, I think that's a great answer. You need the cheerleaders too, the cheerleaders in the stands. I love it. Awesome. Last question for you. Some people hate this question, some people love this question, but what is one piece of advice you would give to younger Avery?
Younger me. Oh. Uh wow. I think I've actually thought about this before, just being like introspective.
Yeah.
um I think, yeah, okay. I mean, because it was it was kind of a scary time, starting college. So if I could talk to myself like right when I was starting, probably just tell myself not to worry. Like I worry way too much. So like if I could tell myself like it all works out better than you could have hoped, so it will be fine. Like me now, like I can see how it worked out so well. So if I could tell myself back then I think I'd be able to just kind of go all out, not worrying about it not working out somehow.
For sure. I think that's great advice. And then I have a follow-up advice question. So sorry, I told you it was the last question, but it's not the last question. What piece of advice would you give to maybe young athletes who are looking to play adaptive athletics in college? Maybe they're considering Alabama. Yeah, what would you tell them when deciding?
So if you're thinking about deciding to do it for college, I think my advice would be to take advantage of every opportunity that you have, basically. Like just don't shy away from things. Um, if I had been too scared or something to try wheelchair basketball, I definitely could have just said no, but I don't regret trying it, even though I didn't do it for that long. I definitely don't regret the experience that I got from it. So just don't shy away from those opportunities.
Awesome. I think that's great. I love ending the show on the advice question because hopefully they loved your story and that's what they take away at the end of it. But this was perfect. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Yeah, thank you for reaching out to me.
Avery, thank you so very much for joining us on the show and sharing your story. Avery is our last episode of season 3. This will be episode 152 of Adventures with Aggie. Thank you so much for everyone who has participated in seasons 1, 2, and 3, and join us next week for the launch of season 4 of Adventures with Aggie.